The boardroom of Taurus Industrialis was a fortress of glass and ambition. Its panoramic view of Madrid's glittering skyline a testament to the company's dominance in Spain's renewable energy sector. Diego Salazar sat across from me, his tailored suit pristine, his cologne sharp enough to cut through the sterile air. At 59, I, Sofia Navarro, had given 29 years to this empire, my compliance reports a shield against the chaos of greed. My pension was 3 days from vesting, a finish line I'd chased through decades of missed family dinners and sleepless nights. 29 years, Sofia, Diego said, his voice smooth but laced with a venom that made my skin prickle. He leaned back in his leather chair, tapping a crimson folder on his glass desk. That's loyalty. But the world moves fast, and so must we. My stomach twisted, a knot of instinct honed by years of spotting trouble in numbers and silences. Friday meetings with the director were as rare as snow in Malaga. That folder, Torres used white for routine documents, never read. 29 years, 362 days, I corrected, my tone steady despite the dread curling in my chest. Why am I here, Diego? He slid the folder toward me, his manicured fingers lingering on its edge. Budget restructuring. Your position's been eliminated, effective immediately. His eyes flicked to his phone, avoiding mine, as if I were already a ghost. Sign this severance by tomorrow, or you walk away with nothing. The room didn't spin. I'd spent too long mastering control for that. But my mind raced, dissecting the lie with surgical precision. Torres had just announced €2.3 billion in profits last quarter, their solar and wind divisions thriving. Budget cuts? This was no corporate pruning, it was a guillotine, time to sever my pension before it vested. I took the folder, stood, and smoothed my tailored blazer, the one I wore for battles. Thank you for the opportunity, I said, my voice a quiet blade, sharp enough to make Diego's brow twitch. He'd expected tears, a plea, perhaps a scene, but I'd learned long ago to hide my fire. I walked out, head high, as Clara from HR trailed me, her nervous steps echoing in the polished hall. My office was a small museum of my life, each item a fragment of the years I'd poured into Taurus. A framed photo of my late wife, Elena, laughing on our honeymoon in Malaga, her dark hair catching the sun. A lopsided ceramic cactus my son Mateo had made at 10, its green paint chipped but precious. A plaque for 25 years of service, its edges dulled by time. Clara hovered as I packed a cardboard box, her voice barely above a whisper. This isn't right, Sofia, You're the backbone here. It's done, I said, folding Elena's photo into tissue paper. But inside, I was already unraveling the plot. For 4 years, I'd flagged irregularities, offshore accounts in the Caymans, revenues inflated by €70 million, contracts backdated to dodge audits. I'd sent 52 memos to the C-suite, each meticulously detailed, each ignored or deflected with vague promises of internal review. Diego's arrival 6 months ago had turned the trickle of deceit into a flood. His efficiency schemes, shell companies, falsified quality certifications, had siphoned millions while padding Torres's stock price. My refusal to certify his latest dodge, a €20 million transfer to an untraceable Panama entity, had painted a target on my back. Raúl, the security guard, held the lobby door, his broad shoulders slumped. Good weekend, Señora Navarro, he mumbled, eyes fixed on the marble floor, ashamed of his role in my exit. I believe it I replied, stepping into the Madrid twilight. The April air was cool, the city's hum a distant pulse as I carried my box to my car. The drive to my Chamartín flat felt surreal, 29 years reduced to a crimson folder and a few keepsakes. I passed the Plaza de Cibeles, its fountain glowing under the streetlights, and thought of the sacrifices I'd made for Torres. The recitals I'd missed when Mateo was young, working late to climb from junior analyst to senior compliance officer. The anniversaries with Elena cut short by urgent audits. The countless nights spent poring over ledgers while others slept, believing my diligence would secure the pension that would let me retire with peace. At home I brewed coffee, its bitter warmth grounding me as I sat at my kitchen table. The severance was an insult, 3 months' pay, no pension, no health care, and a non-disclosure clause to gag me. Sign by 5 p.m. tomorrow or lose even this pittance. A trap, designed to buy my silence before I could think or fight. I set it aside and crossed to my study, where Elena's poetry books lined the shelves, their spines worn from her restless hands. Behind them, a safe, its combination the date of our wedding. Inside, my insurance, 4 years of evidence, ledgers showing €70 million in overstated revenue, emails from Diego ordering falsified reports, contracts with forged dates, over 1,200 pages, catalogued with the precision of a librarian and the foresight of a chess master. I'd kept it not for revenge but instinct, a compliance officer's reflex to preserve the truth when the system failed. I reached for my phone and dialed Ana Vega, a former Torres CFO who'd left for Spain's CNMV financial regulator 2 years ago. She'd always respected my rigor, even when others called it obsessive. "It's time," I said when she answered. Her voice was steel, no pleasantries. "Don't sign anything. Meet me Monday, at 9 a.m., bring everything." Saturday, I worked like a general before battle, my dining table a war room. I copied my files into 3 sets, one for the CNMV, one for my lawyer Isabel, and one for leverage, stored in a safe deposit box. Each document was indexed, cross-referenced, a fortress of facts. My phone buzzed relentlessly. Clara, Diego, even Torres's general counsel, their voicemails a crescendo of urgency. "Sophia, we need that signature today," Diego snapped in one, his polished tone fraying. "I can come by if that's easier." I ignored them, letting their desperation pile up like evidence of guilt. At 4:30 p.m., my buzzer rang. Through the peephole, Diego, his tie loose, a manila envelope in hand, his Porsche idling outside. "Sophia, let's not make this ugly," he called through the door. "Sign, and we all move on." I stayed silent, watching him shove the envelope into my mailbox and drive off. Inside, another severance copy scrawled with "Final Chance," signed by 9 a.m. Monday. That night, Mateo called from Barcelona where he taught art history. "Mama, you sound off, what's wrong?" His voice, warm like Elena's, pulled at my resolve. "I was terminated," I said, blunt as always, 3 days before my pension. "They can't," he choked, anger rising. "You've given them everything." "They did," I said, "but I'm fighting, Mateo. Stay where you are, I've got this." He hesitated. "You sure? I can be there tomorrow." "Stay," I said softer. "I'll call if I need you." After we hung up, I sat in the dark, Alina's absence a weight in the quiet. She'd have been furious, her poet's heart raging against this betrayal. "Burn it down, Sophia," she'd have said, half serious. I smiled faintly. I wouldn't burn it, but I'd dismantle it, piece by piece. Monday morning I dressed in my navy suit, its clean lines armor for the war ahead. My briefcase, heavy with evidence, was a weapon I'd wield with precision. The CNMV's Madrid office was stark, all glass partitions and hushed efficiency. Ana met me in the lobby, her sharp eyes softened by a nod of respect. "You're doing the right thing," she said, leading me to a conference room where 2 investigators waited. Lucia, a wiry attorney with a prosecutor's edge, and Javier, a forensic accountant whose fingers twitched for numbers. For 3 hours, I laid bare Torres's fraud. I walked them through the €70 million in overstated revenue, starting with discrepancies I'd noticed 4 years ago when solar panel shipments didn't match invoices. I showed emails from Diego instructing staff to backdate quality certifications, contracts forged to inflate quarterly earnings, and a Panama shell company siphoning profits. My 52 memos, 18 emails, and 10 meeting requests, all ignored, painted a picture of deliberate suppression. Javier's jaw tightened as he scanned the ledgers. "This isn't a mistake," he said. "It's systemic securities fraud, orchestrated at the highest levels." "You reported this internally every time?" Lucia asked, her pen poised. "Without fail," I said, sliding over my correspondence. Diego rerouted my concerns to his office, where they disappeared. Anna leaned forward. "And your termination, connected?" "Undoubtedly," I said. 3 days before my pension vested, after I refused to certify his Panama transfer, he needed me gone before I escalated. As I left, my phone rang. Clara, her voice trembling. "Sophia, something's happening. The board's in chaos. Diego's locked in his office and CNMV called our counsel." I allowed a faint smile, the first crack in my composure. It's begun. Tuesday, Carlos Ruiz, the board chair, called, his usual arrogance frayed. "Sophia, we have a situation. Can you come to the office tomorrow to discuss?" "My lawyer will arrange it," I said. "With CNMV present, I'm sure you understand." His silence was heavy, a man realizing the ground beneath him was crumbling. By Wednesday, El País broke the story. Torres Industriales faces CNMV probe over alleged fraud. The stock plummeted 25%, investors fleeing like rats from a sinking ship. At Isabel's office, Carlos and two board members arrived, their faces drawn. Carlos offered reinstatement, my full pension, and a consulting role with a vague title and fatter paycheck. Isabel cut through the platitudes. Sophia reported fraud for 4 years. You ignored her, then fired her days before her pension. This isn't goodwill, it's panic. I spoke, my voice low but unyielding. I filed 52 reports, sent 18 memos, requested 10 meetings. You acted on none. I warned you of 70 million euros in discrepancies, and you buried it. Why should I trust you now? Carlos shifted, his tie suddenly too tight. We're reviewing those oversights, he mumbled. The other board members stared at the table, their silence louder than any defense. A week later, the scandal erupted like a grenade. Diego was suspended, 3 board members resigned, and the CNMV froze Torres's accounts pending a full audit. My evidence had cracked the company's polished facade, revealing a decade of fraud predating Diego. He'd accelerated it, but the rot ran deeper, implicating executives I'd once respected. Diego's desperate counterattack, leaking to the press that I was a disgruntled employee with performance issues, fizzled when I handed Ana a sealed envelope from my safe deposit box. Inside, emails from Diego's predecessor and 2 board members discussing how to manage appearances during a 2018 acquisition. I'd found them archiving old files, their significance unclear until now. They proved the fraud's roots, shattering Diego's narrative. In a federal courtroom, I watched Diego and 2 executives plead guilty to securities fraud. Diego, once untouchable, looked diminished in his dark suit, his arrogance replaced by defeat. Our eyes met briefly as he left, and I saw recognition, not of me, but of what I represented, the truth he couldn't outrun. Torres offered 5 million euros, my pension, and a new ethics division to lead. I declined the job, choosing instead to consult for the CNMV, designing whistleblower protections to prevent others from suffering my fate. A 10 million euro CNMV award, my pension, and the settlement gave me security I'd never dreamed of. I founded a corporate accountability fund in Alina's name, its first grant supporting women in compliance roles. Mateo moved to Madrid, his art history lectures swapped for a local university. Over dinner at my new Costa del Sol villa, the sea glinting under the stars, he asked, "Regret staying at Torres all those years, Mama? After how they betrayed you?" I sipped my wine, the question settling like dust. "No," I said finally. "Regrets for those who bend. I stayed because I believed in the work, in doing what's right even when it's hard. I showed you how to stand, Mateo. That's worth more than any pension." He nodded, his eyes bright. "You're a force, Mama, like Elena always said." Torres limped on, its new leadership enforcing transparent books and strict compliance. They sent me their annual reports, perhaps as penance, perhaps as respect. I read them carefully, noting improvements with quiet pride. Some called my story revenge, but I never saw it that way. I did what I'd always done, documented the facts, reported the truth, and stood by my findings. The difference was, this time, the world listened.